morning, everyone. My name is Soha Amber, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all to NEIU's International Business Conference for 2025. I'm the Vice President of the College of Business and Technology Student Advisory Council. Today, we are honored to invite thought leaders, innovators, and change makers to this annual conference to engage in thought-provoking discussions and exploring and navigating the supply chain industry with a focus on Asian perspectives. We encourage our students to seize this opportunity to network, exchange ideas, and expand their knowledge beyond the classroom. I would like to take a moment to thank our speakers, particularly our keynote speaker for today, Ms. Rosemary Coates, for graciously accepting our invitation to present today at IBC 2025. Some thanks are in order. I want to appreciate and acknowledge the people who have made today successful, who have made today happen. Starting off with our dean, who's not here today, Dr. Michael Bedell, and our faculty advisor, Dr. Tang Ku, Vladimir Fernandez, our staff advisor, the staff at the CBT Dean's Office, Jocelyn Rubeck. Can you please give a round of applause for her? President of the CBT Student Advisory Council, my team members, Jose Colon and Suzanne Polikoski in the CBT Student Advisory Council, and obviously all of our student leaders and volunteers today, in particular, Shalom, Rakesh, Siddhi, Venika, Khushi, Lafe, Mayur, Prajwal, Mary Cruz, and Divi. Once again, welcome to IBC 2025. We have an exciting day planned ahead. I would like to invite Dr. Chume Jane Sher, Associate Dean of the College of Business and Technology, to share opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. As you might have noticed, typically the dean will make the open remarks, but today he graciously let me to have the honor to do that. Someone will say, this is a great sign of trust. Others will say, maybe that's a test. No matter what, I'll try my best to make him not regret it. Okay, welcome to the International Business Conference hosted by the College of Business and Technology at Northeastern. And this conference, its mission is simple but powerful: to equip our students with knowledge and experience that make you successful in global business. And the legacy of this conference dates back in 2002, when one of our students, Lucas Dabrowski, started the vision to create a platform for connecting students and sharing ideas about global business. And this conference has continued to thrive with the great work of our faculty, students, and staff. With that being said, I would like to take this opportunity to give a huge shout out to our faculty advisor for this conference, Dr. Tang Chu, and our student development director, Mr. Vlad Flanders, and our student leader, Jocelyn Rubeck, along with all our student leaders in College Student Advisory Council. Thank you so much. It's your hard work makes this event possible. Again, if we look at the PowerPoint slide, it shows the conference theme, right? Changing global or Asian, especially Asian supply chain. This is a timely and critical aspect of global business. We are going to have an extensive and exciting program. Topics include, well, let me make sure I get everything right, reshoring strategies. Topics such as evolving trading policies, and topics like AI and supply chain. We are also going to cover how to become a super communicator. And also, we have great alumni join us to discuss all those topics. So it's exciting and it might be exhausting. Don't worry, we are going to have lots of coffee breaks. With that being said, it's my honor to introduce our interim provost and vice president of academic affairs, Dr. Shane Cover.
Good morning. As she said, my name is Shane Kofer. I'm interim provost and vice president for academic affairs, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Northeastern and to the 23rd Annual International Business Conference. So I too would like to take a moment to thank and recognize our College of Business and Technology for hosting this event, as well as the planning committee, including students and faculty, for organizing this great conference. Let's give them a hand. Also, I'd like to thank in advance the industry leaders and guest speakers who are here to share their expertise with us today. Let's give them a hand. So, as you know, the theme of the conference is navigating the Asian supply chain, opportunities and challenges. This is such an important and timely topic as we work to understand global business, particularly the role of Asian markets in today's economy. This topic also aligns nicely with the NEIU's commitment to fostering global perspectives in business education. So today I'd like to encourage all of our students to take full advantage of the networking opportunities that you have at this conference. There are many professional and industry leaders here among us, so don't be shy. The value of learning from experts who bring real-world experience cannot be underestimated. The insights shared today will help students and faculty better understand international business dynamics in a shifting environment. So we have an exciting agenda for you today, so please actively participate, ask many questions, and make the most of the opportunities that the conference provides. I hope you enjoy your day and welcome to Northeastern Illinois University. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Iris. I am part of the Girls Who Code Club doing their secretary position. Please welcome Cezar Tondini, the founder and CEO of TradeSee, a leading provider of software solutions for supply chain management with over 15 years of experience in both supply chain and tech industries. Cezar has launched innovative products that have earned accolades in more than 8 countries and helped over 200 companies. He's also an entrepreneur and investor, currently involved in a blockchain project for international supply chain management in partnership with NEIU. Let's give a warm welcome to Cezar Tondini.
Okay, nice to meet you guys. My name is Cezar Tondini. Thank you for the introduction. And before we start to talk about supply chain, all these things about supply chain, international supply chain, thanks so much for Bart for the introduction, because the last panel was really good. I'm going to talk a little bit more, not so deeper about international transactions, but I have Vietnam as one of example about international transactions, import and export between US and other countries. So before I start to talk about supply chain, a little introduction. Sure, I told about everything, 200 countries. I've been working for the last 15 years internationally. I'm originally from Brazil, moved to US 3 years ago. And I started a partnership with Northeastern in the last year to build a blockchain project, which I'm going to talk in the end of the presentation. So before I talk about supply chain, blockchain, fun fact, I'm from Brazil, but I don't like soccer, which is weird. Yeah, I know all the time. Because they send me to Brazil, to US, because yes, they send me to US. You don't like soccer? Go to US. No, I'm kidding. But I'm martial arts guy. So in the last 12 years, I love martial arts. I don't know if you guys know, Brazil is very popular martial arts there, and Formula 1 and MotoGP. Just a fun fact, because I like everyone needs to have a hobby or something that you like beside the job, beside what you are studying or working. I like to have one idea that we need to occupy our mind in different things, stuffs, beside just job. So first question, I would like to ask some help from you guys. When you talk about supply chain management, what the first key, the first thing pop up in your mind about how can we have better and the best supply chain management. What do you think that we need to have in our table when we start to talk about supply chain management? What the principle, the key, the principal tool that we need to have? Any idea? Software system? No, let's talk, brainstorming. Any other idea? Several suppliers. Good communication with more information. Any idea, other idea? So we can have great software. We can have a bunch of lists of suppliers. We can have a great communication. But for all those things works well, we need to have access to data. So data for supply chain, to have a great management in supply chain, we need to have access a lot of bunch of data. So a list of suppliers is one kind of data. The software is not going to work if you don't have data. We can have a great communication, but if we don't have, where is the suppliers? What kind of sanctions we have? We cannot have a great communication international transactions to import and export. So the concept of supply chain, the best supply chain management, that means you need to have access to international data. So I'm going to talk today about solutions that we have built. We are still working as TradeSee in one of my company in Access Corporate in blockchain. And the most part is basically how can we use data, good data, to build great relationships, to have a great software to work, to find new great suppliers. For example, the last panel, I forgot his name, Bart, he was talking about sanctions, tariffs. How can we access those information? This is kind of data. So we need to access all those data to understand what kind of tariffs we have here in the US between Canada or between Mexico or all the other different countries. And here's some of industries that they need to have access of all those data to better have a supply chain management. We are talking about manufacturers. So manufacturers, they need to have access to a lot of information from suppliers, customers, even in their companies. They need to understand what is happening to provide the best material, finished goods, or raw materials to their customers. And the same way from the suppliers, how can they have access the best quality from suppliers, providers, not only in domestic market, but also international market. International traders, they are basically, for example, they are importing and selling materials, raw materials, finished goods for domestic market companies, which means manufacturers sometimes. But the international traders, they need to have access to a lot of different data to understand what is happening in the international market, in the international world, tariffs, sanctions, prices, before they import any kind of material and provide to their customers. We need to use data to better understand about logistics. How can I reduce costs to import materials, for example, from China or from Europe or from Canada? So we have maritime, we need to use highway. What's the best cost to import those materials to have a competitive price in the domestic market? Wholesalers, the same idea about logistics, international traders, and so much more, other kind of industries that we need to have. They need to access all those data to decision make. So when you talk about procurement, sales, in those companies, we also have one specific pillar in those companies that we talk about compliance. So any idea what exactly compliance means for procurement and sales? What compliance means for you guys? All the regulations. What kind of regulation? quality regulation. For example, there's specific materials to import. They need to use one specific box. That to import is a regulation, is by law. So they don't want, they cannot import some materials just like put in a container, come bring to US. They need to follow some laws, regulation. International regulations are, for example, domestic regulation. In the same time, compliance means the requirements and guidelines that a company has to import or buy some materials in the international market. So compliance, that means all the regulations from the company, country, state that they need to follow before they import and export. So this is the main thing. Decision make, they need to follow all these instructions from the compliance process. So what exactly is data-driven for international supply chain? Is basically provide all this data, collect and provide all this data to procurement, sales, and compliance. These three parts of the companies that are currently importing, exporting, buying, selling the domestic market as well, they need to follow some information. They need to find those information to make decision. Which means, for example, shipment data. When you talk about shipment data, we can talk, for example, about price. Can we have access the price of our competitors? Yes, we do. We can have access. How? How can we access those data? In international market, we can have access, for example, compliance prices, commodity prices. When you talk about finished goods, can we have access? No. So all the compliance stuffs and the regulations, we need to understand what kind of information also we can access or not. For example, data-driven for international supply chain to import and export, shipment data, vessel operation, to have a traceability. Bart was talking about Canada, China, Vietnam. How can I have access, for example, who is the providers of my provider in Vietnam? Where this material came from? Who is the providers of my provider? Who is the supplier of my supplier? How can I have access to the traceability of all this information from my supplier, which I'm currently working or I'm intending to work in the next step to make the next step of decision making? So, for example, in Europe, they have ESG requirements. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but the ESG talk about environment and social and governance. That means a lot of regulation, specific regulation to import. And one thing, and the ESG requirements for international transactions is labor, the laws about labor. Can you talk about specific laws? For example, laws here about labor in US is the same law that apply for China? No, it's different. But the law here, if I'm importing material from China, Vietnam, Brazil, Mexico, other country, how can I measure it to see if my provider are following the requirements of compliance about governance and labor laws that I can import from them or not? What kind of guidelines they need to follow? What kind of traceability that I have access, for example, to see if the supplier of my supplier they are following the right laws about labor? So this is one thing that data-driven need to help companies that are currently importing and exporting, not right now, but also in the future for companies that are looking for new suppliers internationally. Why? Again, sanctions, tariffs. This is one thing that everyone knows now about what exactly that means. Why? Because the president now in US, President Trump, he's talking about a lot about tariffs and sanctions between US and other countries. So how exactly this is going to impact in the economy to import? How can I avoid those things and find the nice and good provider or supplier internationally? This is one thing that we can talk about. Supply chain management, international supply chain. I need to use those data to find the right way to run my business internationally. Okay, when you talk about decision make in the business language, we have like, this is not a standard. Some companies follow different steps, but this is like the main like steps to decision make in the procurement, import, export, or sales. So the first step is identify. The second step, investigate. Think about this information that you found. Select, analyze, determine, and report. Question, about the 7 steps, which one do you guys think that don't have data? All those steps, they need to have access to the data. So to identify, I need to understand, I need to identify where is my, for example, customers, suppliers. I need to have access to data. I need to find those suppliers. I need to investigate. To investigate, I need to understand what kind of tariffs or information or regulation that I have that apply in my case before I import and export. To think about is, I need to understand the data that I have and then decision make to select, and then into the final step, which is basically take the decision to import and export. Okay, so all those things is like, okay, we understand this is a classroom, but how exactly this works in the real world? So let's use one example, very simple that everyone understands. Raw material, aluminum. Beside of those products here, what kind of products or other different products do you think, guys, that we use, currently using aluminum here in this place? Chairs. Just one example. So yeah, those things were the flag. So aluminum is one of the raw material most powerful in the world because he can be recyclable. So they can use again, the aluminum can be reused 100%. Of course, they are gonna lose a little bit of quality, but at the same time, you can recycle the aluminum forever. But the raw material, primary aluminum, that need to be used, for example, for plants or car wheels or cans, they are from China and Russia. The biggest producer of raw materials, aluminum, worldwide is China and Russia. Of course, we have a bunch of lace companies, but the most part of the percentage of the biggest producer in worldwide is China and Russia. Who is the biggest consumer? Worldwide. US. Okay, we have a problem right now. Trump. No, I'm kidding. We have tariffs. We have sanctions. That means these tariffs and sanctions start. This happen every day, as Bart say. Every day, every minute, we have a new sanction. We have new tariffs. Every time we have something happen about tariffs and sanctions to international operations. Sometimes we talk about, for example, tariffs for aluminum, but it's not all kind of aluminum. We have, for example, 20 kind of type of aluminum. Primary, secondary, specific for airplanes, for car wheels, for engines. So we have different kind of aluminum. Is the same thing for steel, for example. Steel is one classification, big classification, but you have, I mean, I think most part of steel, 40 type of aluminum, steel. Same thing for aluminum. So what the manufacturer companies in US, they are doing with those tariffs and sanctions? But because they need to, Bart was helping us to understand that, but they need to still importing some materials because the manufacturer companies, they need to have those raw materials to produce the goods to provide in their market. We have a triangle. I'm going to split. Of course, Bart told about a little bit about not a little bit. He goes deep about the explanation about what exactly is a triangle. But at the same time is Canada, for example, he's not the biggest producer, but he's the biggest exporter to US. But he has the most, the biggest producer in primary aluminum in the world. No, he's importing a lot of materials from other different countries and provide to US. The same thing happened Vietnam. The same thing happened Mexico. So all those things, I'm not gonna dip in this specific situation about sanctions and tariffs between those countries, because this triangle that happened, just one example here, Bart already told about this situation. But for example, what happened? The raw materials from China, primary aluminum, go to Vietnam. Vietnam, like enrich some, not the material, but like the seeker, more information. This material was produced here in Vietnam beside China. And then he sell and send this to worldwide different countries. That can happen. This is happen a lot. Not only Vietnam, it's a lot of different countries. I can send, for example, Brazil. Brazil is doing the same thing. Okay, but we have a problem, because how can I have access to the traceability information about all those tiers to understand what exactly has happened? Who is the supplier, provider of my provider in Vietnam, for example? How to avoid this? We need to have a traceability. Can you guys understand here? Can you read? So the problems that we have right now, do you remember the first question? Data. The problem is everyone say, I have data. Yeah, the US commercial service here, you can go to the website, download the spreadsheet with all the companies that are importing, exporting, and what exactly they are importing, exporting. Sometimes you have price, sometimes not, but you can go there and download in US. But you cannot do the same thing in Ireland. You cannot go and do the same thing in China. So how can I have access and make sure if this data is reliable? Because the other thing is I can have access to the data, but this data is reliable. Can I have the traceability of my suppliers in the real time to understand if they are importing from China, for example, and exporting to me here? If this is happening, I have a tariff saying I cannot move forward with my, for example, importation from one specific country and the material got here and get stuck in the port because I have tariffs because the material came from Vietnam, but the provider was from China. The materials have a flag of China, for example. Just one example. So the biggest problem right now is we have a lot of technology companies in supply chain. You guys who works or here in Northeastern studying, you can build something to provide a solution for manufacturing, international traders, wholesalers. You can be an entrepreneur and build a supply chain tech solution. The only thing is, do you agree 100% with your customer that your data is reliable? How can we assure that? So in the last 3 years, I've been working basically in the technology part in supply chain international for the 15 years, but specific for technology for the last 3 years, help those companies to understand what is the data they are assessing. So I have access to international data from China. Okay, how can you access this? And this makes sense with the numbers that the government are providing, because we can have access to the government data. Here, one example, you guys can access international trade data balance from countries or between countries. So UN Comtrade, United Nations, all the countries is a mandatory thing for the government, like countries, not 100% of the countries in the world, but like 210 countries worldwide, they need to provide to the United Nations, hey, in 2024, I import bunch of tons steel from Brazil in US. In 2024, I import a bunch of tons, unities, aluminum from Vietnam. And this happened with all those lists that we have a code, HS code. What exactly is HS code? HS code is a code for it's a number, code number for each material that you are importing. So you cannot just import, hey, I'm importing banana. Okay, banana, what is the code for banana? We have a code for banana. We have a code for coffee. We have a code for steel. We have a code for the steel 420, which is specific for automotive companies. We have a code specific for aluminum. So all those countries that have the 200 thing, personally, they need to provide in the end of each year how much they're importing, exporting in between specific countries. And this is a free information that you can access. You go to Income Trade, you have access to APIs, you can build a software using those data. The only thing is we don't have 100% of the countries. There are some countries that we don't have access. So a lot of companies in the last 2 years, they are going to the market. I'm a supply chain company, technology company. I'm covering 100% of the market. Okay, give me the area, how much they're importing corn from Brazil. Other option, give me a number of information, how much US are exporting arms, guns, bombs, all those things to help in the Ukraine war, but not to Ukraine, to Poland. You can access this information. You can see how much they're exporting. I know because I did one, we have a partnership with Bloomberg, and they want to understand what exactly is happening. And one thing that we build to them is to understand how much they are exporting to Poland in those specific materials using just base in HS code. This is the first tier. The second tier, each country, you can also have access, specific country, for example, I'm going to US, you can access shipment data information. You can collect data from specific ports. For example, Norfolk, one specific port in the East Coast. We can access this data from them. Of course, not 100% for them that include prices, but we can access those information and collect and understand what is happening and provide to our customers, or as an international trader, use this as a commercial advantage for me. And each country and each state, each port or airport, they have this data available too in the market. Sometimes you need to pay, sometimes it's free, but you need to understand each port and each country. And the last tier, which is easier, is go to the market and buy those data from third parties, which is easier, but at the same time is not so easy because can you trust in those data? For example, last year, China sell in the marketing data from South America, 8 different countries. Question, how they have access the ports, airports in South America and put this data in the market? When I access those data, a lot of duplicate information. This was a mess of data. So the company that bought this and paid a lot of money, they spend a lot of money in data which wasn't reliable, which brings us back here. So vague and inconsistent data is available in the market. You need to take care about this. Be careful. And less than 25% of international trade, they use data. 65% procurement leaders, they have no visibility beyond all the international trade. But the vague and inconsistent data, $600 billion a year, companies expanding worldwide, of course, in data, vague, inconsistent. They need to buy and then treat those data before they make decision. So this is a 3 tiers which bring us to the next stage of supply chain. Have you guys heard about this? Control tower? No? You? Okay. Control tower basically is the name itself, the control tower. So basically is control the operation, take the control of the operation that you need to follow all those steps. If I'm international trader, how can I have my control tower about my operation in supply chain? I need to have access the lineup of vessels. So not one thing, hey, the last 3 months, we have those vessels, this material. No, I need to see the vessel. It's coming to US and we'll be here in the next 3 months. What I'm expecting to have in 3 months, not something that happened last 3 months. This is control tower. You have assumptions, but also you can have analytic data from the past. You can access what happened the last, not 3 months, but also 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Understand, make analytic information and to decision make, but also real-time, up-to-date data from different tiers. Okay. Let's see if the video, okay. This next video is just 2 minutes. We will explain a little bit about what exactly is control tower. And then the next slide, I'm gonna show you guys what exactly TradeSee, my company, does in partnership with Northeastern, and how exactly we can use those data to bring more value to the company's international traders, but also protect the board.
What is a supply chain control tower? Global supply chains are extremely complex. Working with multiple third-party logistics providers can adversely affect supply chain visibility, leaving companies struggling to gather the necessary data to resolve exceptions, take corrective actions, improve processes, and manage costs. The technology of a supply chain control tower offers companies the ability to gather and evaluate real-time data throughout the entire global supply chain. A supply chain control tower isn't necessarily a physical tower or object. Think of it as a centralized hub containing all the technology, organization tools, and processes needed to capture data from all stages of the supply chain, from the manufacturer to the final customer. Businesses can benefit from a supply chain control tower because it provides end-to-end supply chain visibility to all stakeholders, minimizes supply chain risk, costs, and exceptions, encourages collaboration throughout the chain, responds to and resolves supply chain disruptions in real time, uses predictive data for more accurate forecasting and decision-making, tracks shipment location and delivery time estimates, provides accurate management information in a single place, allowing decisions to be fact-based and data-driven. The control tower uses real-time data to identify strengths and weaknesses within the supply chain, using predictive analytics to guide the network toward greater efficiency and improved processes. A supply chain control tower is powered by technology and driven by people. It can instantly aggregate data from inventory, production, and warehousing centers to guide improvements and mitigate exceptions with great efficiency. For more information, visit
So, can you hear me? Yeah. So this was very little introduction about what exactly is control tower, and this is happening right now. For example, the big companies, venture capitals, they are investing a lot in control tower solutions in the market. So they are looking for companies, startups that running solutions that help in the control tower. Sometimes you have just a one pilot, but you're going to help this control tower. They are going to invest in your company. I know this because in last year here in Chicago, we had also TradeSee, one of my company, attending this event. We were one of the final panelists to make the presentation, and Accenture, I think you guys are familiar with, they're based in West Loop, close to West Loop downtown. They are invest and focus on 2025 and 2026 in companies that have solutions to help them to build control tower for supply chain, international supply chain, but also domestic market. So this is one thing that is happening right now, and you have opportunity there, but you need to always remember data is the key of great and the best international or domestic supply chain management. Data is the key for everyone. Now I'm going to talk, okay, this is everything that we have in the market. What we are doing, how exactly we can we control those things. TradeSee is one of the companies that is running for the last 2 years, help all in one place to manage the supply chain internationally. I'm going to give you guys, this is just one example of the flow that we use in our algorithms and AI. We bring all those data. Remember the 3 tiers that we have: United Nations, third parties, government. So we bring all those data. We're bringing all those data into our hub, our software. We have a concept of fuzz merge. So we merge all those data that we bring from these third parties and these 3 tiers and provide to our customer just one place, one software, and then also APIs. So here, one example running our software that we can provide in a few clicks based on HS code, country, also partners country that have business between one, for example, US, Brazil, or China and Vietnam, any other country that have this data available in the market. We are bringing from these 3 tiers and provide to our customer in just one place a list of suppliers and also analytic information. Hey, here's the suppliers, how much they're importing, exporting. This is the material, this is the price, shipment date information. For example, here also we have a profile of this company. Who is their providers? Who is the provider of the provider? We can bring this, we say tiers of to have the traceability of the supply chain. We can bring all this one place, and the profile of the company that include how much they're importing, exporting, where to, from, all this information, the prices, HS code, materials they are working. And here is the company name. You can find also one specific company. So we can provide a list of companies that work in one, for example, with the material, but also based, okay, I want to find just a profile from Caterpillar, John Deere, CHS, any other companies, just type the name there, which country they are based in, then we will give you a bunch of information from this specific company. Here also we have access to the shipment data. This shipment data information came from specific countries. So each country they are providing, remember, as I say, each country they provide spreadsheets or information, APIs that include the price, how much they're importing, companies by transaction. So we can bring all those data and create analytic dashboard to help companies to decision make. Okay, this is the principal provider. This is how much they are paying. This is the amount of they're importing the last year. This is how much this specific country importing this specific material HS code. And this is one solution that we have to help the control tower also based on geolocation. We connect a bunch of APIs from third parties, but also from the government. Once you just type, for example, website of the company that you are looking for to work, one provider or customer, we can provide you a list based on geolocation. Okay, I want to see in the Midwest of US, just companies that are exporting, importing, or companies that have something in the manufacturer automotive. We can provide a list of these companies, and then we can bring the fuzz merge concept to provide, hey, this is a square feet that fit exactly what you're looking for. And also we are building right now, of course, AI assistant. We say Copilot AI, that just a few clicks. Here's just one example how exactly AI works. Based on data, 100%. You follow 4 steps. Of course, you have a few steps to follow before bring you some results. And we have reference information, country, area. For example, this one is a company target that I'm looking for, and then I'm gonna bring, in this case here, a list of companies. This one was really nice because also they have a score feed, how much this specific company in this list fit in what exactly you type or you're looking for. And then you can have access just a few clicks, few seconds, for a list of companies and leads, of course, not just information about the company, but also, okay, this is a score feed. The score feed is, okay, you type manufacturers, automotive. This is a score feed about this specific company. They have a feed in what exactly you type for AI. So it's like a assistance beside the people. For example, the user go there and type filters or information. It's just AI, a few seconds you can have access. And this is one thing that may help Bart, because we have one solution based on data also. Control sanction screening. What exactly that means? You can have access hour by hour about any tariff between countries based on material. Okay, I'm gonna follow up every day, hour by hour, what exactly the tariffs between US and other country to this specific material that I'm working right now, I'm importing. So we collect data from different third parties and the government and provide it just one place, and the software will be responsible to provide you and follow up by email or just a platform and software with our dashboard, with all the sanctions, tariffs, and all information. Of course, you don't need to use just for example, material and country, but also you can use this for companies. Okay, for example, US have a lot of sanctions between Russia, but there's not about material, it's about companies. Rusal is a company name in Russia. We have a lot of sanctions here between Rusal in Russia, not in country, about the country, about the specific company, and also about the owners, CEOs, the people involved in this company. We have a sanction. We can control and follow up this day by day, hour by hour, to see if there is anything change as Trump or the president or everyone talk about this business. And this is my other company, which we are working with Northeastern. We are building a platform using blockchain technology. So this is a platform to bring traceability and help international trade to protect the border. So for example, here we have a lot of different sources of data. Once the companies start to make business, we will bring, and they will need to follow 8 different steps based on AI to bring all those data. Okay, I'm going to import aluminum from this specific country. This blockchain technology will provide them based on AI. You don't need to, for example, pull or inputs any information and compliance information. That just need to type the company name, just company name and country. Once you type the company name, the software will bring you, okay, this is the company, yes. This is the country, yes. This is the material that you're looking for to import and export, okay. The next step, 7 steps that we have in our blockchain, is the software will automatically, is automatically respond information about the company, the country, tariffs, sanctions. And the last step is make the transaction, building a smart contract. So the companies can have the full traceability usage as a blockchain. Once they finish the operation, the company will have a key, blockchain key, a token that it can provide to their customer, to the customer see the whole traceability about the material they're importing. So this is a loop of information that we can have a traceability in, like infinite traceability from import and export operations. We are focused on commodities, because commodities, they have a standard process to import and export. So the technology blockchain, the people think sometimes that this, when I start to build this project with Dr. Cole and George, George said, I told to George, hey, George, blockchain is not about cryptocurrency. The people sometimes they think blockchain is cryptocurrency. Isn't. Cryptocurrency is currently using blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is to have a multiple, have a traceability in multiple internationally. So you have access to the token, but you cannot change any information there. So the blockchain technology can be used for everything. And in this case, our project, we are currently using this blockchain technology to bring the traceability for international transactions. And also the last step of this technology is provided to the bank the whole information, which means compliance. So we are basically automatically bring all the information automatically to the compliance and banks to make the transaction, for example, to make the transfer or wire transfer, to make the payment. Okay, this is our partnerships. We have received the last 2 years award from UK. I think, yeah, UK supply chain programs that they have. We are international company, so we are based in South America, North America, Europe. I have a customer in Slovakia. It's very different mix. And we have a partnership with also US Commercial Service. Our folks, our goal is bring more data reliable to our customers, but also bring more traceability information to help companies in decision making. Questions? I know it's a lot. Yeah.
As you said that data is a disruptive technique for supply chain right now. So how to analyze that data that is genuine, and how to understand like whether we are getting a genuine data or not, like any predictive thing you can do there?
Yeah, in the international market, for example, international market, we are currently using data from United Nations. So companies, ports, or countries, they cannot sell kind of some information. This information, if they are not in the United Nations, I cannot trust them. So my point to see if this information, this data is reliable or not is United Nations. Once I have access to the United Nations, and so the first merge concept basically is I'm gonna bring the whole data. Okay, this data will analytically bring me this specific dashboard or KPIs. If those KPIs fit in the same numbers that we have in United Nations, I can trust and I can sell this data to my customers. So because we use these 3 tiers. Okay. So third parties, which means companies that are currently working in mining data, international market, the government, and the United Nations. I always have the first merge. The first merge concept basically is to provide the reliable. Have some customer, for example, they ask to us, okay, Cezar, but you don't have data from Brazil and Ireland because we have BRICS. I don't know if you guys know about BRICS. BRICS is like a bank. Also, they have a bank just between Brazil, Russia, India, China,
And South Africa.
South Africa. Yeah. So they are not providing any information.
Okay.
So I cannot provide but we do have third-party companies in the market mining data from specific countries and provide to the customer, to the worldwide. But I cannot trust in this data because the government of those countries, they are not providing this data. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. It's a follow-up question, like what percentage of raw data is like not genuine that
7%.
Sorry?
70.
70. 70. Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, 70. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Mm.
It's a lot. Yeah. For example, in the last, we have, just to have one idea in my other presentation that I have for investors, which we are currently working with Bloomberg. Do you guys know Bloomberg? So they have a headquarters here in Chicago also. And one of the data that they need to access is how much companies and countries are importing commodities. And so a lot of investors, they make decision to invest or not in a specific country or company based on data. So Bloomberg, they need to have access a bunch of data to provide the right new trends, because a lot of investors depend of those information that they provide in the website. Bloomberg showed to us, hey, Cesar, Poland are importing a lot of guns from US. Let's say, how much was it in the last 5 years? Who are the companies that are exporting to Poland? And then we provide all those data to them. And then they cross this data with the data that they have access from third parties, sometimes from specific private companies, and see, okay, your number is like $10 million, but the number that I have from the port is $8 million. And the other company provide me is $16 million. And the other company is 1 billion. Which one can I trust? So they bring the whole data and make the fuzz merge concept to see. And then, okay, this make more sense. So yeah, it's the raw data. And when we saw this data, third-party companies responsible to mine data from countries and providing the private market, they have a duplicate information. It's very simple situation. The same shipment 4 times. So, but the same shipment 4 times, if the one shipment is just, let's say, $200,000, 4 times, we have almost 1 million. But the real number is just 200. So this is one thing. The fuzz merge concept works to find those, like, yeah. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more question here?
The supply chain control tower, it said powered by AI. What kind of AI is it? Is it Copilot, ChatGPT? What is it?
In my case?
Yeah, for yours, yeah.
Yeah, in my case, I'm currently using ChatGPT.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have already, so the ChatGPT is like the main, the pillar, but we have algorithms that the ChatGPT go get the data, and then we ask them, okay, make this, blah, blah, and then there's like 10, 12 steps before to provide the data to our customers in using the Copilot. Copilot, or not Copilot, Microsoft. But I know Accenture, they are investing in a company. They are building their own AI just for supply chain. Yeah.
What would it be called?
Yeah, no, I don't know. No.
Okay.
They don't
Okay.
they don't provide this information to us. But they're investing in a company focused on AI. This was one of example they gave to us in last year. They invest in a company focused on bring data from lineup of shipments, vessels.
Because I'm a Polish American, you were talking about the war in Ukraine and how you said bombs, guns, everything, like, etc. Is that also through that same supply chain or like control tower? Is like, how do you get the information from the units that are transported to Poland?
United Nations.
United Nations, just
Yeah,
it's
all
all
this
public
information is
information.
free. You can go ahead in the United Nations, you go and type Poland importing. You just type the name of the product you're looking for. Between US, you're gonna see the numbers in volume and value. That means price. So yeah, we have a lot of mining, 26 companies worldwide focus on mining data for international market. 26. Okay. But the most part of these companies, they are buying illegal data from ports and providing their international. In our case, we are just following the data from United Nations because we know we can trust in those data. So those information you can access easily. Just type United Nations Comtrade. You can see a filter and any number more than 240 countries. Not 100% of the countries worldwide because we have some monarchies, so different countries. For example, Venezuela, you don't have a lot of information from that. Okay, other question here?
Hi. Can you please tell me an example of a real-world supply chain challenge that differs significantly from textbook solutions?
Can you just repeat the last?
A real-world supply chain challenge that differs significantly from textbook solutions?
I think the challenge is the raw data that companies are currently access. For example, two different things about the business data, supply chain management, raw data. This is one of the challenge because we still have unreliable data in the market. This is one of the biggest challenge that we have. When you talk about operations, import and export, international transactions, tariffs and sanctions. This is one of the biggest challenge that we have in the future years. Of course, for example, US, Trump, between other countries. I think this is a total, I need to be careful with my words right now, but this is something like more words than actions, because when you see what exactly is happening, is not what kind of information that we are seeing in the TV. So the disruptions and problems that we have in the supply chain is the companies need to understand the marketing beside of TV, beside of radio or kind of information easy that you have easy access. For example, one of the software you can read in 5 minutes and understand that is not all kind of till, is one type of till that just one country is responsible. So I think the people, because we are currently using AI to provide it easily to people understand. Okay. Another question there.
I just wanted to know which industries currently offer the best opportunities for supply chain professionals who are looking for work in international markets.
Well, technology supply chain in the domestic market, logistics. I think there is a lot of opportunities. Of course, they are more, the supply chain management concept started in logistics. So then they moved to another companies. International market, when you talk about international market, is tech companies mining data and AI for control tower. For example, the TradeSee is one of our business partner. They are a mining data company, work just in supply chain compliance. If you talk with those companies, they are focused on develop technology solutions, but also in the same time, they need to have people to understand what exactly is happening in the world. So geopolitics, you need to understand. And then data, technology companies. I think those two things, once you understand about geopolitics and data-driven for supply chain, there's a lot of companies doing this. Consultants companies, for example, they are looking for people to understand the data and then provide reports, commercial reports, analytic reports to their customers. There is a lot of opportunity for people looking for work. But yeah, data-driven for supply chain, technology companies for supply chain, there's a lot. Okay. More questions? No? Okay. Nice. Thank you, guys.